YouTube as well. Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody. It is another week of Chiropractic is Sexy. I am Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and beautiful Thursday here. Glad to be with you guys.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful outside. It's just as we're coming into the change of seasons and fall, and it's just so great to see the sun shining. And yeah, we're just in another season of life. I think, you know, when Labor Day hit, I think when any of these big holidays hit, it becomes a season of change. Would you agree?
Yes. Actually, yeah. I really love this particular one. I mean, everybody's like, it's fall, it's fall, it's fall. Well, actually, fall isn't until the fall equinox, which is still a couple of weeks out. So I'm gonna take it for all we can. I think it's supposed to get a little bit chilly this weekend, but we have some 80s still, 70s and 80s and sunshine.
It's gonna be really like dumpy on Saturday. It's gonna be like 60 and raining and gross.
You gotta find your own internal sunshine. That's what I always tell my patients.
Yes.
It's so gross outside. I'm like, where's your internal sunshine?
Right.
Find some, be that. But yeah, I actually really love those kind of days. Sorry, I'm doing one more thing. Love those days because it makes me feel like I can get some organization done. I can get some videos uploaded. I can do like some stuff without missing out on anything. Like I have been hammering away, and I know that you feel the same way too. I think maybe your organization stemmed mine, but man, have I been just working with getting all the pieces in place at home. It's been 5 years, almost 5.5 years I've been in my house I built. And Monday was my birthday. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
But the organization and the analogy of cleaning the garage out we use anyway, but man, has that felt so good to get pieces in place and get my home situation like truly finally aligned, pun intended.
It is. It becomes that. I always tell people, I'm like, don't mess with my summer. Like summer is also, don't look in my spare bedroom in the summer because
like don't mess with my summer and don't look at my spare bedroom.
Don't look at my mess. Don't mess with my summer and don't look at my mess because anything inside the house hasn't been touched. Like I barely dust. I'm like, it's enough that I have to dust here at the office, right? But usually at home, I'm like, I wait for a rainy day or something. Yeah. I'm like,
you know, it's so funny. It's so deeply ingrained in us. So I moved from Michigan to Idaho back for my second year in college. I was at Boise State with the blue turf. But anyway, it is sunshiny like 300 days a year out there. And being from Michigan, it's like when it's sunny, you go outside. Well, it got to the point where it's like, I actually have to stay inside and get some stuff done in my house. But we're so trained to like, get outside, stay outside, get outside, stay outside. It's so funny.
That's how California was. You could count on a sunny day from March to November.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't feel badly that I was out there for chiropractic college. So if I had to be inside studying, I didn't feel bad about that. But and a lot of times I would sit outside and study, but regardless, you know. But yeah, it's just taking advantage of what we have. It's so precious. And so people, you know, I'm on another board, a speakers board, and they had a speakers retreat for all the new board members. And it was on a Saturday, like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, it's a Saturday in August. Like this should be something in October. Yeah. And fortunately it was cold and rainy that day because I would have been like, no, I'm not going.
No, it is really critical. I wanted to bring up this quote and then we'll go into our principle today. But this quote said yesterday, and it was, I'm not sure, it was maybe like on one of the social platforms, but it said something, we can never add time to our life. So we need to add life to our time. It was so brilliant. It was so brilliant. And I feel like that's what summer sunshine does. But also we need to take that all through the seasons where we add more life to our time because our time is just going to be what it's going to be. but our life inside the time is what's so critical. So,
and how many times have you said, well, I can't, you pass up an opportunity to have an experience with friends or whatever it is, to do something on a particular day because you're like, oh, I have to get this thing done. But then you go, that thing, as long as it doesn't have a deadline, it's still going to be there when you come back. Giving up experiences for the thing that doesn't give us life in our time. I love that. That's really insightful.
So I wanted to, there's so much to talk about this week, and to start with the principle though, because this is really the nuts and bolts of chiropractic, which is principle number 29. So these principles were, I think, published in 1927, never been changed, never been altered, no side effects, no nothing. 29 is interference with transmission of innate forces. So the innate intelligence is it's from above down. It's the whole of the everything that is then channeled through your body inside of your nervous system. And there can be interference with the transmission of innate forces. And that is why we look to the spine. As chiropractors, we look to the spine, but we also look broad spectrum at like, what are the other things that could potentially interfere with the spine? But nervous system interference is what we're here to really, that's the nuts and bolts of what we do. So anyway.
Well, and thinking of it from a communication perspective, I always talk about what would happen if we were sitting in a dark room and I handed you a book and I said, read this book to me. And you would say, well, I need you to turn the light on. But this is how our bodies struggle when there's interference. There's interference to the light. There's interference to your ability to see the words on the page and to be able to translate that into something that means something. And it's also, if Dr. Erica and I sat here on this podcast and we just sit here and we know what we're saying, but do you guys, like, that's what you think about, that's what your body's hearing. Your body is struggling, trying to just life itself, and yet it's hearing this completely disrupted message. And you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, because we need to turn the lights on.
I was thinking when you did that, it was like Charlie Brown's teacher, right? What in the world? What was she saying? We should Google that sometime. What in the world was she saying?
And why didn't they give the teacher
an actual voice? Like,
that's such a great question.
Some content to share inside the clinic, but that
what
literally
was Charles Schultz's, like, he only wanted it to be about the kids, Why didn't the teachers in Charlie ever
have actual content to share?
That's so funny. I think it looks like we'll have to go deper into that at a later time.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna have to look that one up. So okay. So as we're going through this, we talked a couple of weeks ago about that ballroom dancer. And so the one thing that we can never know is if we have this interference, we can never know that unless you're getting checked by a chiropractor. Now, sometimes it can go so far that symptoms come in. And that's what I was thinking about with him. He's like, I got this sciatic thing. And, that's been going on for a long, long period of time before it gets to the point where the body is like, please do something. And so if we wait for, ballroom dancer, not barroom dancer, table dancer, no, ballroom dancer, was complaining of sciatic nerve pain, but he was also trying to get to like the world championship again this year. And it's like, it's just, we just can't wait. We can't wait. We need to be under regular care. And, I had this girl in this morning. She just graduated from college. She's got a graphic artist degree and she's got a job and all this stuff. And she's doing well. She's like, I've been in this pain for 5 years. I'm thinking, you did college in that much pain for 5 years? Like, oh my goodness, that's so intense. So we got canning tomatoes. What else is going on there?
I'm doing salsa tomorrow. I've got 120 pounds of, I have 6 boxes of 30, almost 200 pounds of tomatoes I'll be canning tomorrow. So if anyone wants to come over.
My gosh.
Well,
so anyway, and just
about,
for her to wait this long is just astounding. I mean, how much interference did she have in her schoolwork? How much interference did she have in her daily life?
well, think about how in the horse industry, not even just horse racing, but just regular old people who just have horses that they don't even compete with. They have chiropractors come out and adjust their horses and then never think twice to have their own bodies checked, their own nervous system checked. How do they know? You know, they don't know that the horse is in pain or not. They just do it because they know that the alignment of that horse is so important. And then, and I'm sure you have too, where you have people who ride and you're a rider.
Right.
When you are adjusted properly, your communication just by way of your body's balance with that horse changes your ability to ride the horse. It's really pretty amazing. So,
yeah. Speaking of riding, I wanted to, so this is from a book that I had to continually take pictures of. It was so brilliant. It's by one of my mentors, but it says, we need to rethink symptoms. Symptoms are part of the inborn language of the body. They are part of the language of innate intelligence within us. As human beings, we must decide whether the body, in its myriad of functions, chemical processes, and adaptive capabilities, is dumb and stupid or intelligent beyond measure. For me, this isn't even a question. I need to ask myself, all the evidence points to the fact that the human body is smart, super smart and intelligent, above comprehension. With all my education in life sciences from biology to neurology, I could not run one single liver cell of my own body. Yet my body runs an estimated 100 billion tissue cells extremely efficiently. Thank God that it does all this by itself outside of my intellectual control, because it is hard enough for me to keep track of my daily tasks. I cannot imagine having to regulate my heart, liver, kidneys, brain, and lungs, among all other organs, while driving my motorcycle. I would quickly crash and not be long for this world.
That's amazing.
I know. And it just
so perfect.
It speaks to innate intelligence and just what it's doing for us, and then how much respect we need to have for it. So,
well, thinking about innate intelligence and just going back to when we talk about this, it may sound woo-woo, but we've had this conversation about what's the difference between you alive and your body dead. There's something that is animating your life. That's innate intelligence. That is innate forces at work to animate your body in life. I mean, otherwise, like, our pieces and parts are all the same. So what is it? Something's turning on the switch. And when we think about, I always think about how as humans, as higher functioning mammals, that this brain of ours is so intelligent that it gives us the ability to not to forget. Like, we think we're better than nature. We think we can do things better than nature, which is why, like, drugs and surgery and all those outside forces don't always work. And that's a whole nother conversation. But when you think about animals and how, say a dog, any animal gets pregnant and has those babies all on their own. And then those babies know where to go to find a nipple on the mother to then get milk and nourishment. And that mother, the mommy dog, knows what to do to nurture the pups. And the pups know when and how to wean. So nature is so smart and intelligent, but we try to just insert ourselves and interfere and override that system because we think we know better.
Well, and we try to pretend we're not animals.
Yeah, right. Yes.
We try to pretend somehow that even though this dog can have this litter of puppies, and one of our friends, her cat is about to have kittens, and it's like, we are that too. And we Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways to go with that, but it's like, we are animals too, and we are designed to get to tomorrow, and we're designed to know instinctively what to do, how to do it. And our bodies are designed to run our liver and run our heart and run all that. And all of that is along our information superhighway, right down our spine, from our brain, back to the spine, out to the body back through the spine, up to the brain, constant and continuous. Multiple, I mean, millions of messages every second, millions.
Yeah.
So
Trillions, maybe. Right.
And so our principle is there can be interference there.
Yeah.
There can be interference to that system, and the pressure of just a dime on a nerve can cut all this, that's it. Or people say pushing into, actually check this out. I have patient brought a ripe tomato. So just the pressure of indenting this super ripe tomato, or the pressure you would put on your eyeball until you actually feel it, that much pressure can diminish the messages to and from the brain to the body and body back to the brain on a continual basis. And then symptoms come.
And you don't know, you don't feel it. You don't feel that your liver isn't regenerating itself. You don't feel that your stomach is breaking down food, sending it to the intestines, and that you're absorbing micronutrients.
Right.
You don't feel the water coming out of your digested food to form stool so you can poop it out. Like, those are all things that just happen and you don't even have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. And when there's a problem with that system, we do tend to ignore it and we normalize it. And I'll just talk about pooping for a minute. Because I had a patient this morning. It's she goes every 2 to 3 days, and she's like, but then she takes, I take fiber, but she still doesn't poop every day. I mean, like, we're trying to then normalize that. And like, that's not normal. You have to eliminate those toxins, or that becomes a toxic effect on the nervous system, wreaking more havoc, causing more inflammation, diminishing the signal even more. Mm-hmm. So if you are reaching for things on the outside to try to fix things on the inside and then trying to normalize it, we have a problem. We've got to get you adjusted. Those nerves going to your lower back, into the intestines, into the colon, and the digestive organs, they are disrupted as well. So let's get the signals going and then come in metabolically and help you get that heal.
The follow-up to what I was reading earlier, which we'll bring in over our next conversations because it's so brilliantly written, is that if we're chasing just the symptoms and trying to put the kibosh on the symptoms, rather than, like Dr. Paula said, turning the light up in the room, then all we're doing is leading our body away from its natural signals that get healing cascades flowing, and it stops the healing. And then it overrides that. And then you have a side effect of this drug, which is actually not a side effect. They just call it that. And it's actually an effect of the drug. And then you have this like constant back cycling until the end of your life. The quality of life, even on the day-to-day, but the quality of life towards the end of life is for nothing. And it's like most get to that part of life and wish that they weren't continuing to like kibosh the symptoms and like let their body do its full expression of health. You know what? I'm having an issue with this asymmetric shirt that I have on. It makes it look like it's like, what's going on? I'm not aligned here. I'm having issues with that visually. So anyway, but it's
I noticed that and I thought maybe you had your
it's really asymmetrical. Like it's stitched down the center in a really weird way. And then I got these ripped jeans. This patient just said to me, I need to take you shopping. I'm like, listen, I can actually style myself however I want to.
So your shirt is out of alignment is what
it is. Yeah, it is. And I don't know if you can see like the bottom it's like stitched weird. Yeah. Anyway, it's super fun to wear, but it's really showing up weird in the video. So I am aligned. I did just get adjusted, but it's not looking that way. It's like, what's happening here?
Well, I was explaining to a patient this morning too, and she's got, I'll just say it out loud. She has an injury from an injection that she received a couple of years ago that caused stroke-like symptoms, and she is suffering. She lost speech, she lost mobility. It's been a long road for her. And I was telling them, listen, we need to do some things. They went to the Cleveland Clinic, and I said, you don't need any more tests. We just need to clean up the system. And I said, because they want to put her through all these therapies, neurologic therapies, and we're doing the cold laser on her brain. I'm adjusting her. She's making some progress. But I said, if you go through this extensive therapy that the Cleveland Clinic wants you to go through, the problem is you have mud in a bucket and you're trying to just put fresh water into it. And it's going to take forever. Unless if you want fresh water, you have to clean out the bucket. And this is where her blood is. So metabolically, I was trying to tell her we have to get things cleaned up metabolically through nutrition, through IV therapy. She's also the one that is having she doesn't have a daily bowel movement, but also just she's having these side effects from a particular thing inside of this injection that caused her to have an injury from it. So, we have to get her to specific people who can help with chelation, who can give her the proper nutrients to bind the thing that's causing the damage in all her cells and pull it out. Mm-hmm. So you can't get clean water with a dirty bucket. So, that's the whole thing is all this stuff from the outside in to try to clean up your bodies. And most of the time we're reaching for things that like an aspirin or an Advil or something like that. Right. So, I
had just to follow, I know this is so funny. It's gotten out of hand. So funny.
What's the pillow? Were you getting a new pillow?
There's a Volkswagen pillow that he sent me over Instagram.
Oh,
prior to that, the comment sounded like that's what she said. And I said, here's the line, you've just crossed it. That's when I got my pillow. I'm like, you're funny. Anyway, so there was a patient in yesterday, speaking of, and she got the shingles and the pneumonia vaccine. So she said, ever since I got that, so she was in yesterday, she got it either Monday this past week, or I think it was Friday last week. I have felt like crap since. I was like, oh, really? Tell me more. And she said, well, I am like, what line did I cross? It's so funny. So she said to me, she's like, well, I didn't expect my body to be so reactive to these 2 vaccines. I was like, well, why? And she's like, well, I'm like, okay, your body is designed to be reactive like that. Yep. That's how it goes. Well, maybe next time when I get it, it won't be. I'm like, nope, it probably will. Yeah. Because it's super inflammatory and it's super, all the things. Do your own research. And I won't go beyond that, but she's like, I just have felt like crap since. And I'm like, yeah, I bet. And she said, ask the nurse, hey, will I feel fine afterwards, or will this make me sick? They're like, no, absolutely not. Well, what about this one? No, absolutely not. I'm like, okay. I beg all of you, let's do logic.
Yes.
Let's get back to logic.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
Let's do logic. Let's do logic. This is the logical steps that your body needs to take to protect itself. And it can also protect itself from the things that you think you're protecting it from, because we have innate intelligence is on our side, and we need to, as that first statement said, rethink our symptoms. Our bodies are actually designed to get sick, but the sickness that we call sickness is actually just symptom expression so that your body can up level. Dr. Paula and I, over this last, we've almost been a year at this podcast thing. We have both been here coughing and hacking. We both have been here fevering. We're designed to do that. Dr. Paula and I are not afraid when our body does that. We do not need to go out and shoot it down with something. We need to, Dr. Paula, her first line of defense, and you guys hear it over and over, bone broth. immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Our first line of defense is up the supplementation. Make sure you're getting all the water you can get. Prioritize sleep. Get your movement in, no matter what. Get adjusted. Like it sounds ad nauseum almost a year in, but it truly is. Like, we can never shoot it up, kick it out, burn it out, cut it out. We can never do any of that. All we can ever do is turn up the power from the inside. And that's what the adjustment does.
And let's talk about recovery in that respect also, because we talk about that. And I here comes
I'm hiding behind my glasses because I gave myself a nice shiner the other day.
So Dr. Erica and I got in a fight and I clocked her. No.
She clocked me. Can you believe that? She seems so nice, doesn't she? It seems like we really jive really well, but no, I definitely gave myself a shiner. So
let's talk about recovery, because we've talked about that with me, and Dr. Erica had an accident.
Yes.
And let's talk about what you're doing for recovery.
Well, so for the very first thing, okay, so I was getting out on my e-foil board. And if any of you know what an e-foil is, it's a surfboard on top, then it has a long stem, and then it has a boomerang thing like that. I don't even know if you can see that. Probably can't. Anyway, the surfboard, it's a 2.5 foot post. And then on the bottom of it is what looks like a boomerang. It's called a foil board, but this one actually has a motor on it. When I have a remote control in my hand. So it's a remote control surfboard that I get on. And it's very heavy to get it from inside my house down to the water. So I put it on a dolly. And so the whole thing is that once I opened the case and I'm getting this thing out, I forgot the dolly was underneath it. So I took a bad step and I launched the side of my face right into the boomerang. It's actually quite sharp. I didn't cut my skin. I just smacked. I think I have a deep bone bruise right on my orbital bone right here. But anyway, I have then progressed with a black eye. So recovery for me is all the things that I would always tell you guys to do, including, actually, I haven't put the laser on. I probably should. I just haven't taken the time to do that. But it's all the things that we talk about all the time, including I added some arnica. I'm not sure some oils that I put on it, and it hurts. But what I really look at is I recovered from the actual trip, just meaning like my body was ready to react to that, because I didn't I was just thinking in that moment and how quickly life can change. We all know this. Dr. Paula had a really gnarly fall last fall, but how quickly life can change. And my body was ready to react and respond to me falling. I'm thinking I could have gone all the way down. But I'm also relatively agile because of all the ways that I take such good care of myself. So, and then of course my anti-inflammatories are things like extra cod liver oil. I do my B vitamins. I've got vitamin C on board. I've got D. I've got glutathione, all those things. So just really supporting and helping my body to not only react and recover from the actual fall, but then now recover from this shiner too. And I still went out. I was like, holy cow, that could have really been bad. I'm like, and my board's ready. I'm jumping in the water, and I was out there for like.
I gave myself a concussion. Let me go get in the middle of water.
It's fine.
And hope I don't pass out and drown. Let me just do that.
With my PFD. I don't stop, but I don't ever plan on stopping. And I think that that's really, like, when I say add life to the time, like, okay, that wasn't ideal. It wasn't very good to have that whole situation. I'm going to be way more mindful anyway, but I wanted to add a whole lot more life to the time that I had. And life to the time that I had was, I was sitting there looking at the water. There's no boats out there because everyone's in for dinner. As soon as they finished with dinner, all the boats came out. So I was out there e-foiling. I'm still learning. If you guys know e-foil, it's a tough one. So anyway.
Yeah. So Kenny was saying that you actually got hurt loading it, but not actually operating it.
I know. Sometimes that's how it goes. I know.
And then giving you some kudos. So agility and ability to just get up and do it anyway, right?
Yes,
we love it.
Yes.
That's great. So, and then Dr. Mark was asking, when to use the bone broth, and you could get beef bones from the butcher, but I like the, I love using chicken feet. So that's my secret weapon there. But yeah, so I think it's just really important to remember that, yeah, we're not perfect, and we're sitting here bringing you all our injuries and our hacking and our coughing. You know, Dr. Erica was sick for a little while back there, had a persistent cough, and, you know, did not run out. Usually there's something weird about 3 days with my patients. They're like, I had this sinus thing for 3 days, and I went and I got a Z-Pack. Like, 3 days, it's nothing. Like, give your body 2 weeks at least. And let's make sure we're doing all the proper things to get your, you know, boost your immune system. Give your body time to heal. And I think that's where we lose sight of the fact that we want to override the system. We don't respect our body's healing time, right? What's number, was it number 6?
Well, number 6,
takes time.
Takes time.
Takes
time. There's no process that does not require time. And really that applies to everything, but definitely healing. Definitely. But if you're running down symptoms immediately, know that we need to, this is going to be ad nauseum too, rethink your symptoms. Your body is not stupid. It's not dumb. It's wildly intelligent beyond anything that anybody could ever create. The body is so much more intelligent than we ever give it credit for. And if we're running symptoms down, we're going to run ourselves right into, truly into the ground, into a crappy quality of life. You can't put all those drugs in the body and not have side effects. So I want to bring that to, I have this beautiful little girl in the practice. She comes in with her mom. Her mom's new to chiropractic, and she hasn't had the children adjusted just yet. So I said, oh, how was they were in yesterday. And her daughter's gorgeous. She's 5 years old. She's got these cute bangs. She wears her hair kind of like it's crimped. It's super long, beautiful blue eyes. She's a vibrant child. She said, actually, our first week of school, she's the little one spent in the hospital for a couple of days. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, in kindergarten, this little one gets nephrosis syndrome. So I was like, well, what exactly happened? Like, what were the symptoms? And she said, well, her feet and her hands started swelling. Her face started swelling up. And I said, was she lethargic? Like, what was happening? And she's like, no, she said, school was really hot. You know, we lost power here last week. I know we talked about that on the podcast, but she's like, she just had all these symptoms. We had to get her in right away. And I'm like, okay, what did they do for her? Well, they monitored her and they did this and they did that. They put her on a steroid. I was like, oh, okay. So then now what happens? Well, she's on a steroid for 12 weeks.
Oh, shit.
That's
going to change that child's
life.
It's
going to change the child's life for sure. And I said, well, if ever you're interested in getting her nervous system situated and worked with, then, you know, kids respond. I'm not saying I could fix this. I'm just saying we need to also get the nervous system on board too with what's going on. Her body's compromised for whatever reason. And if all of the rest of the stuff, also make sure your brain and your body's communicating. All of a sudden, this comes out of nowhere. Under a ton of stress, this little one, unfortunately, does have anxiety, and she was starting kindergarten, and it's super hot last week, and blah, blah, blah. I get it. 12 weeks of antibiotics is incredibly aggressive. And if anything were to happen, she needs to go right to the ER, which that's respectful. I can totally respect if something else comes up. And it was the same thing. Like, I was chatting with my dog, my littlest guy. He ended up like he started licking the floor incessantly, and he was gulping and licking the floor, gulp and lick the floor, gulp and lick the floor. And it went on for a very long time. We finally went for a walk. I was worried he was having respiratory distress, which he wasn't. I could feel his lungs breathing, but there was something, I don't know if it was stuck or what. So fortunately for me, I'm connected with my vet directly, and I just sent her a text message. It was actually Monday night. And I said, hey, I don't know what's going on. What is this exactly when he's doing this? Second time he's done it. He's almost 2 in a couple of weeks. And she's like, I don't know. We should probably put him on omeprazole. So since he's 7 pounds, we should probably just, what? It's only the second time this has ever happened. Now, if this becomes a regular thing for him, then I'm going to look to alternate. But I'm like, what is it? Like, he's not in respiratory distress. I can tell he's trying to maybe move something down his throat or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Interesting. Well, I want to talk about the 5-year-old also. Mm-hmm. So the 5-year-old started kindergarten, and this is what is required of children before they start kindergarten: measles, mumps, rubella, polio, DTaP, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, chickenpox, Hep B, and a flu shot. 9 shots are required we say required. They're not required. You can get a waiver, but most parents don't know that they can actually get a waiver for these. So children entering 5th grade and then 7th grade, so when I hear, oh my gosh, nephrosis, that's kidney. Of course, her kidneys are struggling to detoxify from 9 injections that contain latex, aluminum, thimerosal, antibiotics. The amount of toxic load that child's body received, her body wasn't able to detoxify it. So now she gets put on steroids, which further affect her liver and her kidneys' ability to detoxify.
And also with the steroid is going to kill her immune system for the season ahead. And that's really what I was focused on too. I was like, her immune system is going to be really challenged this year going ahead.
Well, and that's for life. Like, how many patients do you see when you go back, let's say you've got a 40-year-old woman sitting in front of you and you start to dig and they're like, oh yeah, I had to go on 12 weeks of steroids when I was 5 years old because I had this weird kidney thing going on and I ended up in the hospital. If you dig back far enough, you start to get the path of breadcrumbs that leads you to where you are today. Yep. And it's usually those types of harsh interventions early on in life. So 9 vaccines, 12 weeks of steroids, and then and probably antibiotics, ear infections, digestive issue. You might even be on omeprazole because they put all kids on that now. So that changes literally. We see people in their later decades who those types of interventions, and this is where the conversation needs to be very, and I'm saying this to the world out there who's listening, because I know Dr. Erica knows this, but it's a very gentle conversation with the parent, because the parent thinks that she's doing all the right things for kids because she doesn't know any different.
And she is doing the right thing in her mind. She is.
Yeah. So we just have to be very gentle, kind, and loving to be able to help parents understand that there is a better way to take care of their kids to build their future in a much healthier way. And like you said, tanking her immune system, autoimmune for life. I mean, it's a
whole
thing. And maybe many of you listening might even be like, oh, wow, that actually happened
to me. Right.
Mm-hmm. You could be struggling with things today.
Yeah.
So when you're like, how long is it going to take for me to get well? Well, if it's been going on since you were 5, it's going to take your whole life.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. I was chatting with another patient who came in yesterday morning in tears, and not tears of pain or musculoskeletal pain or discomfort, but she actually has to go through a detox process. And so she was away from care for about 6 months. She stepped back in last week for her first 2 adjustments. And then her body was like, nope, we are no longer doing this particular lifestyle habit in her life anymore. She ended up severe. She has hyperemesis, which is just constant and chronic throwing up. She landed in the ER for a night, and then onto, I don't know if she landed in, I think she was admitted, and then, for fluids and all that. And she said, oh my God, she came in yesterday. She said, do you know anything about blah, blah, blah? And I was like, well, I can put the medical terminology together and come up with like what's happening. And so anyway, she's like, I got to do this. I got to shift this and shift this. I'm like, awesome. Being under chiropractic care inside of whatever you need to do right now is going to be your best bet. And then I said, because your body has to go through all of this stuff, it's clearly saying, GTFO, everything. And so I said, so here's the thing. The only way you can navigate, she has no other choice right now than to navigate through this. The only way you can navigate through this is by turning the health up on the inside and letting your body process. Apply to everybody, apply every single day. This is just an extreme situation, extreme. And so anyway, so I got her adjusted. She's like, thank you so much. I can feel my nervous system just kind of settle in a little bit. And she sent me a message today because I'm like, I'm here for you. I said, I reached out to a mentor. These are the steps that they added to what I had already said because I wanted to reach out for specific detox. And so I said, this is it. And she said, sent me, and I said, anything you need, here's my cell phone number. Because if you need an adjustment in the middle of an episode of some sort, if I can get here, I'm going to help you through the next couple of weeks. Here's my cell phone. She sent me a message this morning and she said, as of 5:00 last night, because she's thinking it's a 3 to 6 month situation, which she's gotten herself into. And so I said, in my heart of hearts and in my intuitive, this is going to be, if you support yourself from the inside out, which a lot of the people that go through this process wouldn't go through these things, then you're going to find your way through this within 4 to 6 weeks. I can tell already. And she's like, by 5:00 yesterday, I felt amazing. I have felt amazing since I said, I'm sure it's going to be a roller coaster and I'm here for it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But her nervous system is like, what?
Yeah.
It said, nope, no more. And now what? Like, how do I work chemically with it's like this. And then there's nausea and vomiting everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
It's just how life goes. We can't not have consequences. So I'm so happy and honored always to work with all these people.
And be able to be that, again, that gentle, loving voice that says there's another way.
Yeah.
There's a better way.
And a safe place to land inside of tears.
Yeah.
And inside of that level of vulnerability. How are you doing? I'm not well. This is blah, blah, blah. I was in the ER. Mm-hmm. I need help. I'm like, you have the right support there. I'm here to help support your nervous system. It's the most critical. Like I get goosebumps. It's the most critical through this whole process is to make sure you're supporting yourself from the inside out.
And what's so amazing is that, and funny is that as chiropractors, we're often the last place people land because they're like, I don't know what else to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm asking you. Like, they're like, somehow we've become this, like, this final soft place to land for people mm-hmm. because it's the Hail Mary. And yet I'm glad that people finally find us and they come into our offices because we do change lives. But I think also our intention behind what you and I are doing and just showing up every week to have this conversation is getting people to understand we don't have to be your last place to land. Right. We want to give you a different frame of reference so that you can go, maybe I should pay attention to these symptoms. What are they telling me? Really questioning what your body is going through and struggling with and what we can do to help build and support it instead of causing even more interference to how it's functioning. So, yeah. And that all goes back to our principle, which I'll have you read that because it's beautiful.
Yep. So interference with transmission of innate forces. So number 29. And then there can be interference with the transmission of innate forces. And then going back to, we need to rethink symptoms. Symptoms are part of the inborn language of the body. They're part of the language of innate intelligence within all of us. And we must decide if the human body is dumb and stupid or intelligent beyond measure. I'm sorry, an egg and sperm came together and made this. Yes. Like, come on. Right? Come on.
And made us all perfect and yet different. Mm-hmm. Like, how is it not that we all look the same, right? That's the whole thing too, right? Like, how do we not all look the same? Because it's divine.
It is. So number 30, which will be next week, the cause of dis-ease. Interference with transmission of innate forces causes incoordination of dis-ease. I would say and dis-ease.
And for sure. Yeah.
Instead of. So the cause of dis-ease. So in chiropractic, we've always been known to say dis, comma, or dis-ease instead of disease, because dis-ease is how we get to disease if we let the dis-ease go on for long enough. So I love that. I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be great. It'll just be more of the same, but different. All right, you guys. Well, on that note, we'll let you go. We appreciate you being here with us each and every week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Invite a friend next week. We'll see you at 1:00 next Thursday for Chiropractic is Sexy. Thanks for being here. See you soon.
Bye.